Hello, Bianca.
Hello, my dear Ingrid. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you again too. I didn't see you last week. We had a bit of a impromptu time off.
Busy women as we are. Yes,
Yeah, I think life just got to us a little bit. I think last weekend was so busy, didn't have any time to scratch myself. I think you had a pretty busy one as well. I was trying to, I texted you. I was trying to fit you in at about 10:30 at night on the Sunday. I should, oh, come on, let's do this. And thankfully, I think you said you didn't have any time, and I was like, thank God, thank God she doesn't have any time because oh man, I was absolutely knackered. But let's definitely catch up again this week. So this is episode 4.
great. And we
So
also especially welcome all our listeners. We welcome you
absolutely,
who enjoy our conversation a little bit, I hope. And
yeah.
we are very happy that you listen to us. Exactly. What I wanted to say is, I come over and scratch your back, no problem. That bit of time I must
You
be
should
left
have
over,
told me. You should have told me
Yes.
because I got home last Sunday 10:30 and I was thinking, oh, I don't have time to scratch. You should have told me. You could have just come over and started scratching. Would have been fine. But as our listeners, might have worked out, we're going to be speaking English this episode. We're doing an English special this time. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing it this episode? I mean, I asked if we could do it this way this time, if maybe just for a bit of a change, really to think because
Okay.
English is my main language. German is yours, and so far we've been doing German, and I just thought we'd like to give it a crack in English. See how we go. Maybe even for the audience that have been pestering me that only speak English, they don't speak any German. They've been saying to me, "When are you going to do something in English? We can't understand a word you're saying." So let's do it in English this time and give
Yeah,
give our English
sure.
audience something to listen to as well. All right. So what are the topics we're going to be talking about today?
I just want to include also, probably I have my English dictionary here,
Oh, good, good.
so it's going to be a little Denglish in between.
Yeah, Denglish for those English speakers that don't know what Denglish is, it's a mix between German and English, which is fine because if for something German you don't know a word in English and it comes out in German, I can always translate. You've been doing the same for me every now and then for the last 3 episodes, so I can definitely do the same today.
Brilliant, awesome. I really look forward to it. I missed last week. I missed our conversation.
I know, I know.
I realize it's already a pattern in my daily life. It's already a pattern to speak to you for at least an hour.
Every
So it's like
weekend. That's right. Every
something is
weekend.
missing. Something is really missing in my life. What was it? Ah, right, the conversation is
It's
finished.
that hour of talking that we're missing. Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. So the topics we've got today, we've got 4 topics like we do every weekend. The first one is friendship. The second one, and this will be interesting. It's real and fake life. So that was a topic that you chose. So maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit later when we actually get to it. The next topics that I wanted to talk about was poverty and local poverty, communal poverty. I know a lot of us think we're poor or we always want some more stuff or we don't have enough stuff or but how much stuff do we actually have? How much better are we doing it than some other people who have nothing? So that's something I wanted to talk about. And the fourth topic, which is a topic I've been hanging just to talk about because I love it, is Gone with the Wind, and of course Vivien Leigh, who was the main actress in Gone with the Scarlet. She's played Scarlett O'Hara, the Southern Belle. So that's something a topic I really wanted to talk about with you. Hopefully our audience likes Gone with the Wind. Otherwise, they're going to have a boring 15 minutes there.
We surely don't. We haven't got boring 15 minutes. For us,
No,
it's
it'll be
great.
interesting. It'll be interesting
Yes,
as is
sure.
every one of our topics. It'll be really interesting. But before we do any of these topics, let's catch up on our weeks. So what have
Yes,
we been
and
missing out on?
was with Angie last night to nightlife in Hildesheim, and I shared a short 40-second movie about how people did what is it?
Yeah.
Modenschau an einer Hauswand. Was ist das in Englisch?
Okay, yeah, because I did see the video and I thought that was some sort of a theatrical production. So what that was, it was actually a fashion show. So
Yes,
it was
fashion
a
show on
fashion show,
houses.
and people were walking up and down with ropes attached. You know, they were walking up
Yes,
and down the side of a house,
yes.
parading up and down. So that was quite interesting. And where was this?
In Hildesheim,
That was in
last night.
Hildesheim. Hmm.
Yeah, that's one night a year. It's called Light Night,
Mm.
and there's a lot of attraction about light and shopping and quasi Hildesheim enlightened. So, and you can go shopping till 11 o'clock at night. You can go and have a drink, and it's
Oh
very
wow,
nice.
11 o'clock at night. That's
Yeah,
not bad, I suppose, for the people that work late and they've still got that opportunity,
yeah.
to go afterwards. And how was the fashion though? I mean, that surely was the most important part of it.
Yeah, yeah, we've been lucky to be there at that time, especially, We
Hmm.
only walked around for an hour, Angie and me.
Hmm.
So we caught this nice fight and was like, yeah, something to share.
Something,
So,
some entertainment, some free entertainment.
yes, exactly. And brilliant entertainment. House running is a new sport somehow,
Oh, is
isn't it?
it? So it's
Yeah,
called house running, is it?
sort of house dancing, I would say. Was it more last night? But Angie told me about it. I'm not so uh, educated in those modern exercises on houses and certain. And
Hmm.
Jano is about parkour, but okay. Anyway, how was your week?
Oh, look, the week was good. I mean, it's been busy, but the weekends are even busier at the moment. So as you know, I've got a new tenant. So a tenant moved in earlier this week. He now lodges here. He rents here for a little bit. He'll be here
Hello,
for.
Greg. Greetings from Germany to you.
Yeah, he's not here. He left the
Okay.
building. I asked him to leave the building for the talk show because I can't. I trust my kids to be quiet more than I trust him. That's the sad truth of it. But anyway, so he's left the building, but he
Yeah,
will be
my man left the building too. So
but he's quiet. You haven't met Craig yet. No, so he sold his house, and that's the reason why he's here. He sold it very quickly. He was meant to actually settle the house in just before Christmas, but he settled it, 2 months early almost. So he needed a place to stay pretty urgently. So he's here for the moment. He's got his little bed set up here in the lounge room. So it's a little bit cramped, but we're making it work. And he's helped, around the house with the chores as he should. So that's all been pretty good. So that's been a big part of last week, just getting him settled, making sure it's all working, getting our routine up to scratch with a new member here. One other thing that maybe we can just congratulate here on air is last week we had a new little person enter our family.
oh,
Yeah, we had a little girl come into our family. So not my immediate family, but one of my cousins. They've had their fourth child. So it's fourth child and the second little girl. So that's they're really stoked about that. So are we. We love it when babies and kids come into our family. So congratulations again online. This time to my cousin and his beautiful wife and their three other children. So hopefully they grow up all together as a really strong, healthy, happy family.
yeah, sure. And a nice little jingle would be nice now for a few seconds. Something like, I don't know, a nice little happy welcome onto this um, live jingle, keine Ahnung.
Well, welcome to this earth. Have fun.
Yeah, so just,
They said I
what's her
came
name
here. They
again?
said it was going to be fun.
Uh,
What?
she's got, with you as an aunt, she's gonna have
No,
a lot of.
actually, I was thinking about this in the car. On the way back from the hospital this morning, I was thinking, what? How do I introduce her? Because I'm not her aunt. I can't say, look, I've become an auntie again for the fourth time. It's not true. I'm not her auntie. I'm actually like a second cousin. So it's not. She's not even my first cousin anymore because she's my cousin's daughter. That means that I'm technically the second cousin. So I've become a second cousin again for the fourth time. It just doesn't have that same ring to it, really. But she, her, but to answer your question, her name is Ronja Marlene. So in German, it's Ronja Marlene, which is a beautiful name.
Very
actually,
good.
and she's a beautiful little girl. Came 4 weeks early, but she's really healthy, and so is Mum. And the beautiful photos that the family shared with us, and I'm really proud to have her in our family.
Me
Yeah.
too. I'm happy. Great, great, great news. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, my daughters, as you know, we talked a little bit about this the last episode. My daughters had this walk-a-thon going for the Girl Guides,
Go ahead. Yes.
so we've done that all now. That was on Monday after school. They we did the walk-a-thon here down in Narre Warren in one of the local parks, and we did a really great job. So I went with my eldest daughter, and my youngest daughter went on her own with the rest of the group, and in total we did 30 laps. So my youngest did 20, and I did 10 laps with my oldest, some of those jogging, which I'm really proud of. And yeah, so we're still looking for sponsorships, so we do have a GoFundMe page. I'll put the link into this segment afterwards. We've had quite a few donations and sponsorships so far for this walkathon. The walkathon is now finished, but we're still taking sponsorships and donations for another 2 weeks. And all of the money raised is actually going to Girl Guides Victoria, and that's to help them fund care packages and Christmas presents for our Australian soldiers and for children in need this Christmas who just don't even have enough money for Christmas. So those are two really fantastic causes, and I can only urge you to sponsor as much as you can to give these guys, on the one side, these guys who leave their own families to fight for us, to fight for our families, give them a great Christmas, help them have a fantastic Christmas away from home, or as good as it can be anyway. And also these little kids who deserve a fantastic Christmas. They don't have the finances for one, so let's give them a helping hand.
Very nice. And
Yeah.
that's why I had an argument with a friend about this donation, like a
Yeah,
misunderstanding.
you told me you asked one of your friends online to give a helping hand, because I mean any amount is a helping hand really for these guys. So, and you asked him and he just totally cracked it. Tell me what happened there.
Because I only sent him the link without telling about you and your beautiful kids. So afterwards, but his reaction still was completely over the top.
Hmm.
He just hates people asking for money in genuine. I
Oh, fair
personally,
enough. Yeah,
yeah, fair enough. Exactly, that's what I think.
fair
What
enough.
what was lacking from my side was an explanation. So I wrote about you and your kids. What a fantastic person you are,
Hmm.
and I wrote about all those things. And I don't know if he has sponsored already some cash. That would be very nice.
No, he hasn't. But that's
Oh,
okay. That's
that's
okay. I don't want any
great.
resentment from him either.
Yeah, but you know what? I wrote also. I mean, this really took me. I was 3 hours angry, with him
Yeah, you were
about.
so angry you got rid of your Facebook there.
Yes,
That caused a
exactly.
bit of a drama. Yeah,
Yes,
these girl guy
because
donations. It is.
for me it's important this no to advertise
Yeah.
and ads. Even I haven't got an online account, but I asked a friend of mine to help me with this. I just need a bit of time.
Yeah. Yeah, no
Anyway,
dramas. You've got another 2 weeks, like I was saying.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think D
exactly.
Day is
That's
11th
I'm
of
happy with
November.
mine.
Yeah, that's the
So
last day.
I wrote to him again. Uh, by the way, I cannot stand the sight of stingy people.
Oh,
This sorry, but that's me,
yeah, sure.
and
Yeah,
for
you're
me,
German. You speak exactly what's on your mind right away.
that
There's no
that is
filter
German
here.
side.
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. It's also a typical Berlin. You in Berlin, you speak from your heart. You don't really think
Oh,
that
yeah,
much. You speak
absolutely.
straight from your heart. That's
Absolutely.
typical Berlin. Not so
I,
much German.
well, I don't know. I think a lot of the people that I know, maybe it's because I actually like those sort of people, but quite
Okay.
possibly. But a lot of the Germans that I know, I've grown up around, they're exactly the same. So they've got no stop filter. It's just like, something if something goes onto their heart, it has to come out right away. Feedback time. So, and
Very nice.
I actually get along really well, because it's better than sort of harboring a little bit of resentment in the back of your head, about
Yeah.
something that you weren't happy about. Just get it out there. You make your peace. probably healthier too, really.
That's good to think twice. But in that case, for me, which I have to slide the part of friendship, I get to know this person as a friend.
Yeah,
For me, the people, um, I do everything for my friends. They can come day and night to me. I would do anything for my friends.
that's right. Yeah.
And if people I call my friends, they are not stingy. They are very genuine from heart. Um, it's something I discovered recently. And people who are not so genuine by heart,
Hmm.
they are not my closest friends, so to speak. You know?
Well, it's hard. It's hard to really. I find that it's hard to sort of know exactly where you're at with those sort of people, because if they don't really want to share any feedback with you, they don't really want to talk about themselves a lot, or it's hard to know where you're at, and I think it is hard to be friends, really good friends with those sort of people because you've got nothing to work with. They're not giving you anything to work with, which
That's
is.
that's very smart of you to say because I that's all lacking. For me, I feel my way in,
Mm,
and it's good to have a good conversation. But sometimes, because you say things straight from the heart, it's not so good. And so I think sometimes very very long about things. So I have my own conversation in my head going on, früher die Schallplatten, like an LP with a scratch.
oh, like a scratched LP, it just keeps going over the same thing again.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mental, really. And but life goes on still, and
Mm,
and you still in this scratch thing, and please hold the line. And you think like, ah, what's going on here? I need some clarity. And but yeah, that's it's very important to talk, and as you said, to be open, also to share, really to share about what's on your mind, what's on your agenda, what's bothering you. I think
mm.
it's sharing on all parts anyway, which
Yeah, and,
brings.
and look, that's actually, look, we could probably just start right here. We could start talking about maybe a tie-in between our friendship topics and the real and fake lives. Maybe we could sort of combine those two and just start talking about it right now. That might be a good place to tie in, because yeah, on the one hand, you're saying and I'm saying the same thing too. If someone doesn't give you anything to work with, it's very hard to be friends with them because you never know where you're at and you don't know what sort of things you could talk about with them. You've got nothing to sort of relate to, and you're saying that yeah, you're a very open person, and that's true. You are very open, and you like to talk a lot, to other people and with other people, and you have a lot of friends because of that. But I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm the same. I think that in real life, away from this talk show and everywhere else out of my home, I think I'm actually rather a reserved person. Actually, I don't really talk a lot, especially if I don't know the person too well. I try to keep my opinions to myself. It doesn't always work, but but in
You
in
are so sweet.
yeah, it doesn't always work. Sometimes the stop filter's tired or it's broken, and so, you know, just sort of goes around it a little bit. But I think personally, I think I'm scared of actually scaring people off sometimes with my life and with my thoughts, and so I don't tend to talk very much about about me personally outside of this or our friendship or away from close friends. I think I'm reserved.
I was reading a saying yesterday, a sentence about when you react over when you. Oh wait, I show you. I think that's very wise actually. If you I admire people who can keep things to themselves and who are not so open, because if you are open, you get wounded a lot of times.
Yeah, exactly right. And then that's what I was saying. I'm a little bit scared, I think, of actually opening myself up too much and outside of this house or outside of this talk show. I mean, even in this talk show, we discuss every topic that we're going to talk about. We discuss beforehand just so we can prepare ourselves a little bit for it. And I think I have been, in the past, as you get older, you do get hurt in any sort of social relationship that you have. at some point or another, whether that's just a friendship or an acquaintance or perhaps even something else like a partnership or a marriage. I think eventually you do get hurt, and then you start to think, well, do I really need to open myself up that much? If at the end of it I'm probably just going to get hurt anyway. Because I've lost so many friends over the years, and I think a lot of it had to do with me moving from Germany to Australia, because I moved just before I turned 18. I had a whole bunch of friends, and then I suddenly lost contact with a lot of them. As I moved, and I've never sort of regained that level of friendship that I used to have when I was a teenager or at school. And I think, just do I really want to open myself up so much again? Really learn to sort of be friends and to love someone in that platonic way, only just to get hurt again one day when I have to break away from them.
Well, that reminds me on my sister-in-law.
Hmm.
She got hurt from a guy and raised her son for the last 17 years as a single mother,
Yes.
and never ever started a relationship with a man again because of that. She doesn't want to get hurt. As simple as that.
Yeah, I think that's the sad truth for a lot of women. I also knew, or I know, I should say, a single mother. So she also raised the husband left while the children were fairly young, and then she raised her two children completely on her own until they were 18, because she also said it's just too tough. Just too
Yes.
tough introducing another guy into your life when you've already got two little people to look after.
And,
And
and, and you know what? I thought when I was with Angie, a single mother with my daughter, and I had a guy, a friend, or what relationship starting, I thought sometimes, actually, I don't need a second child.
it can turn into that, can't it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
because
because
men can be a little bit childish sometimes. But women
yeah,
too. Look, let's face it, women
it's, yeah,
too.
yeah. It's not, it's a two-side thing, of course.
Well, we're not
Uh,
trying to be feministic here, so we're
no, no,
not
no, no, no,
taking any
no,
sides. But we're just
no,
saying,
no.
from a woman's point of view in a relationship, yeah, that definitely can feel that way sometimes, like you're just taking care of another child.
So, and also for me, is I just always jumped in like some bungee jumping addicted person,
Into relationships, into
adrenaline,
love, just bungee jumping
yeah,
into love. Yep.
yeah, short adrenaline, and then like the rope didn't, I wasn't, the rope didn't pull back, but I fell into.
The rope snapped while you're halfway down.
Yeah, so I should, like, my face should actually look very crushed by now. My heart certainly does. Um, but what it taught me so far is from the tree of being earnest. It's a different saying in Germany. Vom Baum des Ernstes ist die Frucht, die Heiterkeit. So from the tree of being earnest is the fruit, is a certain humor.
So
You
the from
know?
the fruit, so from the tree of seriousness,
Yeah, genau,
you get a
exactly.
certain type of humorous fruit, basically.
Yes, yes. So you really, uh, that's for me, like I keep joking about the love kind of thing about. I lost a bit of the drama part.
Mm.
Maybe I was very dramatic earlier on about those. Also Hollywood influence, Hollywood movie, fairy tale influence. You think different about things, and uh, what I was thinking about this topic, friendship and love, relationship, and to open up and to keep close, and how people are so different, how
Mm.
that they handle their pain different. And I had this conversation with my social worker yesterday,
Mm.
the one who coordinates visits with my grandson and his mother.
Yeah, so it's not actually your social worker. I think
No,
it's your daughter's social worker, isn't it?
exactly.
And she works for your daughter and your grandson, who's actually in your custody
Yes,
at the
but she
moment. Yeah.
also sees that I have two roles. I'm the mother and I'm also the grandmother. I have double roles to
Yeah.
fulfill here. and they bring me on the edge also with a lot of things. And she asked me how I am, looking back on the last half a year I've been through.
Mm.
And she really is she's a very good a woman, very caring woman. She does a great job as a social worker, and I could reflect on the past months,
Mm.
and I realized it takes a little, it takes a way of wanting to be a living sacrifice, of wanting to not take yourself, to care for oneself, but not to put yourself higher than the other person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I decide for something, I don't decide because I think of my own personal well-being. I decide because I care for my children, for my husband, for my grandson, for my friends. And in between all those decisions, I celebrate my Sabbath today because I'm completely broken after a very heavy time, just very personally spoken, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the last 2 weekends were full on. I was
Yeah.
completely wrecked, and someone comes and asks, and you just keep on going and keep on going. Your body is somewhere left behind, but you still keep on going. Like you did the race with your daughter.
Oh, during the 5 lap jog. Oh, that was crazy. But yeah, it was a very similar. So physically on that day was the same sort of thing. After about the third lap, I thought, how am I going to do another 2 laps? But I did. I just kept going. You just keep going. You keep going till you've got the 5 laps down. You know you're doing it for a reason. You want those sponsorships. You want those donations. So you want to you want your daughter to be proud of you as well. In some contexts, you want to be a really good team stabby. So you just smash out those 5 laps. And I think single mums, and all women really, all most women have this really great way of just sticking to it and smashing it out as much as they need to. Any mother really just sticks to it, and it can be hard. It can be really terribly hard sometimes, mentally, physically for sure. And kudos to those women and to those men as well, to the single dads out there that really just stick to it, and they just keep going, and they, besides their physical exhaustion, they just really stick to their guns, and they keep going for the benefit of everyone else, for sure. No,
Yes.
it's not easy. Not easy being a mother. Much harder being a single mother or a single parent. Yeah.
So it's some the way happened love is teaching us a lot. It's love on different, it's the different colors of love, yes? It's the love of friendship, the love of being a mother, the love towards a man.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
There's a lot of different loves. Yeah, as you're saying. So it's not when you say you love someone, ask what kind of, how do you love me?
yeah,
So you do. You have a totally different love for your kids than you do for a partner, or that you do for your grandma. So there's already like three different types of love there.
yes,
That sort of make a
a,
difference. Or even
a
for a
friend
friend,
of
it's
mine,
a
a friend of
totally different
mine
type of
from,
love.
oh, sorry. A friend of mine did a collage on the colors of love, like on different levels. So, you have the Eros love, that's between man and a woman.
Hmm.
You have friendship love, a filio called, I suppose. You have the love of parents to their children, mother to their child. So there are different levels of love, and the kind of love, like I feel that love is stretching me. It's not that the love is really also coming out of my heart, but I receive love from above. Let me say it like this, as a Christian woman.
Hmm.
I receive love, and it really stretches my heart over the top, basically. Um, I was the last 2 weeks. I had to drive with my car in the evening, and I was screaming my head off for an hour. I recorded it. If you're interested, I can send some sequences of you. You hardly can listen to it very long.
Of you screaming.
yes, of me
Yes,
screaming like,
send it through. That should give a that should be funny.
yeah,
Send it through.
but
I can
how
put a little
lovely.
clip of it to the end of this episode. This is what Bianca sounds like when she's at a car breakdown and she's on the freeway and she's screaming her head off.
Yes, but that's really hard, really hard to listen. It's like that's what a woman sounds like if she's giving birth, for example.
Boah,
And it's not,
that's pretty
and
loud.
that's for an hour. I was for 3 4 days. I was without a voice almost, and still something keeps me screaming. It's like the stretching of really loving people beyond understanding, beyond my capacity to love them,
Hmm.
beyond my feeling of being completely, my bones ache. I'm tired. I need rest, like every
Yeah,
mother
just
has.
absolutely exhaustion. So I think by that point you were just absolutely exhausted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's no time or place that you. I mean, power napping is a good thing
Yeah,
if
you
it's
should have
if,
probably taken a power nap at that point. Let's face it. If you're that exhausted, just close your eyes for 15 minutes.
yeah, but once in a while, like I think once in a while it's good to let emotions out. Yeah, exactly, to let emotions out. Und ich habe diesen Spruch, I brought you a, wie ich finde schon wichtig, dass man gelegentlich vollkommen überreagiert. Can you
Yeah?
translate?
So you think every now and then it's really emotionally healthy that you just fly over the top, fly off your handle, basically.
Yes, if you do it alone in the car, of course. If no
Yeah,
one is around,
maybe not in front of a school, maybe not in the middle of work, maybe not the best times to fly off the handle. But if you're totally alone and you're sure no one can hear you, you go for it, baby. You go for it. No.
we that's why I was very glad that this week, or I'm very happy and thankful for my cleaning job. I'm a chef cleaner in a house with 9 refugees, and I'm very happy to just clean and listen to YouTube music or some sermons.
Yeah.
And I don't need to care about anything. I sing along and forget about the world around me, basically. All I have to do is clean the floors, clean the toilets, clean the rooms, and it really gets my head free.
Mm.
Uh,
Well, it's a bit of
this,
exercise as well, isn't it? Just moving about, a little bit to a bit of music and just cleaning as you go.
well, it's tough cleaning. It's sometimes very dirty. So I'm after 3 hours of cleaning, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So it's also scrubbing and carrying heavy buckets with
Yeah,
water.
that's what I'm saying.
And
You know,
it-
sometimes cleaning like that is a really good form of cardio, a really good form of
okay.
exercise.
Oh, right. Okay, get it.
Mm.
Okay, but like yeah. Okay.
If you
Anyhow,
guys don't, if you don't like cleaning out there, give it a shot. You know, it's a good form of exercise, and as we all know, exercise makes you a lot happier. Gives
so
you that positive vibes.
we had a tank. We had an oil tank moved out yesterday. 50,000 liter oil tank out of the glass house. I wanted to tell you this.
Why was it in the
We
glass house?
It's an oil tank. The glass house was meant to be for growing very fine orchideen flowers,
Some really nice orchids, some orchid hybrids. Yeah.
orchid hybrids. Okay,
Mm.
and oil cost in the 70s only 30 cents the liter.
In the 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Those were the
so
good old days.
yes, those were the good old days. And now this 8,5 8,5 was eine Tonne
Eight
in
and a
English.
half tons.
Tons, genau. The thing was moved out yesterday. I'm gonna share pictures later on Facebook and a little film movie about it. It's just I don't know. It's just a very exhausting week. I was happy not to
I
be
think
around.
Bianca's stuffed. Bianca's stuffed.
What does that mean?
Stuffed is a very Australian way of saying she's tired. She's exhausted.
Okay, exactly. So
And
now
and
we
I've
go to the
and I've
next.
made her do this podcast in English today. So God,
Yes,
she's really having a tough time now.
a bit of yes, exactly. So we go to the next topic, my dear.
Mm. Well, actually, let's talk about this real and fake lives because that's got me interested. What did you actually mean? But what did you want to talk about with real and fake lives?
Well, it's exactly. Used to when I lived in Ireland, I sat at the beach and watched the sun go down. like
Mm.
how the sun was sinking into the sea. It was beautiful. I did that a lot of times. And with life, it's the same. You can watch life as someone very passive. So it's like you sit at the beach and watch the waves and the wind and all. And if you really wanna know and feel what it is like, you have to jump into the water and swim.
Hmm.
And that's a bit, to me, like if you really want to know what life is, sometimes it takes courage and a bit of experience of wanting to know, wanting to find out what's behind. So it's about we are in real life, but I also believe that there is a fake world, like internet, for example,
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah,
and
the
also fake
internet's just a
products.
big fake. It's a big
Yeah,
fake, a glass house, really.
yes,
It's yeah, people, people, society in general, especially the younger generations these days, I think they're becoming totally out of touch with their realness. I'm not even really sure that the younger generations who are really up to date with the internet, if they really know who they are anymore. I'm not sure if they do, because I think the internet is it's a big fuck bucket full of bullshit, really. That you can go in there anonymously, and you can say any old rubbish you like. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter. Even just the stuff that you see, even the stuff that the internet is feeding you is just rubbish. A lot of the time, unless you use the internet for solely studying or educational purposes, which no one does, right? Everyone's on social media in some form at some time, and it's just especially things like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. You're just feeding into your mind just a whole lot of bullshit and stuff that isn't real. And I think in doing so, in feeding yourself this rubbish continuously, you are absolutely losing touch with who you are. And I think that's an absolute shame. That's absolutely, it's a shame. We are creating a generation. Yes, the internet is fantastic for a lot of things, for finding answers, for finding stuff out. But we've got a whole generation of young adults and young kids who have no character. They're not unique at all, because they're all just following the same big idols on Instagram, or they think they're following them, because even the idols that they follow on Instagram, they're not showing you their real lives. They will never do that, right? We are all just following fake stuff that comes, and we're believing it, and we are all subconsciously we're acting out our lives around this fakeness. We are turning quite fake, like the internet, and I think it can be quite dangerous, and it's certainly a good idea to limit yourself to social media on the internet. Get
wow,
get in
amazing.
get in touch with yourself, because I
Yes,
think I think everyone has a character, and these characters come from your parents. You form these characters as you grow up. You pull these characters down from your family. This all influences you from your friends. But if your mind is constantly in a fake realm, in a fake sort of social media internet realm, you're never actually going to have time to get in touch with your character, and that would be a big shame. If everyone was the same sort of a very robotic, fake internety sort of a person.
you said a good point there with forming, being formed and forming.
Mm,
Uh, we have the possibility to influence, and we are influenced. And what you said about we get tuned into, or we get turned into what we look at the most.
absolutely.
The
And what are kids and what are young adults, teenagers these days looking at the most? Rubbish. A lot of
fake life.
rubbish, fake
Yeah,
life, fake rubbish that's coming from a really fake place, the fakest place, social media, right?
yeah.
It's absolutely fake. It's not real at all, and that's what they're turning into. Just
But
these to a very fake
that's
life.
I posted a prayer on Facebook for the young generation, because my heart is really burning for the young people also.
Hmm.
I believe they are great kids. They will, once they've turned to the real life,
Hmm.
and I'm speaking of life, not mortal life as such. I believe if they turn towards real life, if they turn their faces and if they taste it and see how good God is, okay,
Mm.
they will exactly know what fake is and what real is. And once they've tasted once what real life is about, because I also experienced it, they will never want the rubbish stuff the world is throwing at them.
Mm.
The junk
Yeah,
food.
there's a lot of rubbish coming their way.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
not envious that I'm not a kid anymore these days, because these kids are going to be doing it tough when
yes.
they hit 18.
They have, they have it tough, and I think they need tough adults around them
Mm.
who understand them, who have who understand their humor. I just learn a lot from Stephen Hunter. He's got a great humor. He's a lovely guy,
Stephen Hunter. For
and
those who don't know, Stephen Hunter is one of our biggest fans. He always gives us his feedback, some very good
yeah, he's
feedback at
great.
the end of every podcast. So thanks again, Stephen Hunter, for always monitoring our performance. We love this.
Yes. So it takes. I think it's for me to learn not to judge them, but to love them more than and maybe if they like, correct them now and again.
Hmm.
If I see they jump off the cliff, to say, before you jump off that cliff, make sure you take good care of yourself. Make sure there is a bungee rope hanging, and you bounce back.
make sure this rope's not broken like Bianca's was.
Exactly. Make sure you land back on your feet, because there's a lot of it can drive one nuts. I mean, people fight suicidal thoughts. People cut themselves. Young people
Yeah,
especially.
I personally believe this has a lot to do with social media, and I think we've had a. It's not only to do with social media, absolutely not, but I think depression is and suicide and all that. It's really on the rise, and one reason is because of social media, because our kids are believing this shit they see online. That they're believing when they see people post, because you don't post how bad your life is. You only post things when you're happy or you're having a really good time, or you're posting beautiful things of beautiful pictures. You're making your life, you're turning your life into this postcard beautiful snapshot, which it isn't, because no one's life is like that. But kids are seeing this, and they're believing this, and they're asking themselves, well, why isn't my life like that? Yeah, because life isn't like that, kids. Unfortunately, life isn't like that, and I think this is really really increasing the depression rate amongst kids and young adults. This belief and this constant feeding into their minds that their lives aren't good enough, well, when they are, or that they're not good enough, and you guys are. Absolutely are. Just get off social media for a bit, and experience real life a little bit. And
Yeah.
and I think this has a lot to do with it, with a lot of
On
issues that
on
are arising.
on one point, I'll be very honest here,
Mm.
and I know it's also social media. On one point,
Yeah, we're actually on social media at the moment, but
so
let's
it's only a tool. It is a tool after all. Like money
it
is
is
a
a tool.
tool. Like, yes. So where I park my car and scream, there is a long electricity pole about 30, 40 meters high,
Mm.
and I stand beside it, and I do fight suicidal thoughts personally.
Do you? Okay.
Only very short, and I was screaming, "Devil, I will not walk up that pole and jump down," because I personally know where those thoughts come from. There is a diabolic spirit that wants to kill people, that hates mankind,
Mm.
genuine, and that's what we are also fighting. And
Yeah,
that's
well,
that's what.
I think you can really say that depression is a kind of demon. It's a kind of
Yes,
demon that does take over your whole body, your whole mind, your whole life, and it's not
yes,
something anyone needs. And I think if you are I think if you are really fighting with depression, I think probably social media in most cases isn't the right place to hang around. Really,
yeah, yeah. Well, maybe there are groups in that social media that I mean I receive daily good words from some counseling. Not that they counsel me, but they are counselors in genuine, and they post nice lyrics, and that really encourages me to get back up.
It might
And
encourage you, but I personally think it's always better to get in touch with a real person. Like if you are facing these sort of dark thoughts, and you're you perhaps you're even scaring yourself, which happens in depression. You scare yourself, right, with your thoughts, and quite often even your actions. So I think if you are feeling that way, get in touch with a real person if you can. I think social media, like you say, sometimes it can encourage a little bit, yes, but I think you're going to always see more bullshit than good stuff on social media, and I think always try to keep in touch with other people. Even if you're not a total social bunny, like I'm certainly not. I'm not a really social bunny, but I think if you're really feeling that way for yourself and for those around you, for your friends, for your family, go speak to someone, a real person.
well, that I don't know. I wouldn't. On that part, I personally went to 8 years of a desert walk. There was no one I could speak to. It was like,
And then you met me.
well, oh yes, sure. And I'm gonna
Then you
pour
met
out
me
my
and the rest
heart
of
before
YouTube.
you, darling. Nee, den Song muss ich dir jetzt leider ziehen. Aber ja, well, it's a great pleasure, of course, meeting you. But I'm too old to rely on anybody by now. You know, this desert walk has made me who I am now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
That means I don't depend on anybody. Only me saying after 8 years of a desert walk, I've survived because of the grace of God. He made me survive all this without going nuts, without cracking, without killing myself. You know what I mean? Without taking drugs, drinking alcohol, without messing up again.
Yeah,
Basically,
because
just
I think when you were, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when you were at the pinnacle of your depression, you were really heavily into drugs, which you don't do anymore. So really good on you for that. That's a fantastic achievement, personal achievement. You were drinking really heavily, and I think you were a little bit sort of all over the place when you were at the pinnacle. So you have come down. You have really been able to save yourself, and you're saying it's
no,
with the help of God, and
no way,
and
honey. No way am I able to save myself. Forget about it. Um,
oops.
whom the sun sets free is really free. And wait, I bought something yesterday in Galeria Kaufhof. I bought something, a rubber for you. I bought a rubber.
Oh, cool. An eraser? Or are we talking about a condom?
No, oh honey, spare me, please. Wait,
Sorry.
I show you.
For big mistakes. Oh, you bought that for me? Oh,
Yes.
thanks. Thanks, Bianca.
So, but
For big
also
mistakes like me.
no, no. Oh, oh, stop it! Are you
She
crazy?
she was a big mistake, I tell you that.
No. Oh, Ingrid, you are impossible. I wanna hug you now and give you a big kiss on your cheek,
Ooh,
on each one of
saucy.
your cheeks. No. Oh, darling, how dare you?
Oh, well, you're the one buying those rubbers, not me.
Well, because I wanted to explain something. When you write with a pencil,
Yeah.
you take this. What's it in English? Radiergummi?
Razor, rubber.
A razor. You know and this big razor says on for big mistakes with a pencil. You know, and
Now I know
I
her feelings. I know
I
her
be-
true feelings.
I learned and believe that God is making no mistake, and when he created you and me and the rest of the world, basically, he did not make a mistake.
No, you're absolutely
And
right.
and
You're absolutely
and
right
God
there. You're
and
right
God
there.
does not need a razor, but we do.
Yeah, because we make big mistakes. No, but
Yeah.
you're absolutely right,
Oh,
and I have.
oh, darling. Oh no, no. I'm sorry. You didn't make any mistake. It's just our way of having a conversation.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
It's all good, Fruit Loop. No, with you're absolutely right. I think God God has created each of us individually, and we as people, we might not get along with everyone. We might even meet some people and we think, what the hell is wrong with that person? Yeah, it happens. It happens all the time. Let's be honest, right? But you know, there's God has not made a mistake. Yeah, there's always a reason that a person does act that way, and like we've discussed in previous episodes, if you actually really get to know, if you take the time and make the effort to get to know a person, you'll quite more often than not you'll actually get behind their thought patterns and you'll work out why they acted in a certain way. But God, God really does not make mistakes. He makes each of us so individual that we're a unique item. Each one of us is a masterpiece. So no, you're absolutely right there. God doesn't need erasers, but we do because we're human and we do sin and we do make mistakes.
You want to go to the next topic?
Well, you know what? We were on the point of depression, and let's continue with that cheerful thought.
Sorry. Yes. Okay.
It's not a good way to start a topic about depression. It's not funny. Anyway, what I did want to say. So we were talking about depression, and I think and fake lives. So it's interesting, and I think some people can hide depression really well, and that they a lot of people build up these ideal sort of lives and worlds through their social media outlet, and you see that quite often in Instagram when people do make these postcard perfect pictures of their lives, but behind the scenes it is actually quite different. And one person I've been wanting to talk about for a few weeks now is Vivien Leigh. So does that name ring a bell?
Wait.
Have you got that bell? Good, you got that bell. But I mean, does Vivien Leigh? She was the main actress of Gone with the Wind, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. And for our German listeners, it's called Vom Winde verweht. So, Gone with the Wind, she was the main actress, and she was also in another really famous movie, a streetcar named Desire. Have you heard of that?
Three.
I don't know what the German title is, but the English one is A Streetcar Named Desire. So that was a really big classic hit back in the day. And she's also in Caesar and Cleopatra. She played Cleopatra. So to name a few, she was one of Hollywood's biggest actresses back in the day in the 1940s, 1950s.
Yes, she got. I did a bit of research last night. She got ill while making the movie Cleopatra.
Actually, yeah, she spent a good portion of her life being ill, and it was quite sad because she back in the day she was called the biggest beauty, or she was one of the biggest beauties in Hollywood. So she had quite a lovely face to look at. And her persona, she was quite elegant, quite very graceful. She seemed like the next big thing, and her portrayal of Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, I think that sort of created her image a little bit, very refined, very ladylike. Perhaps ladylike isn't the right word, but she was definitely refined, a very beautiful woman that a lot of men wanted to have. So Vivien Leigh, she was born in 1913 in India, actually. So this is giving you a bit of an insight as to what generation she was born in. So it's over 100 years ago now. So she's definitely one of the classic Hollywood actresses. But she died when she was quite young. She was 53 when she died. So she died in 1967 of tuberculosis, and she'd actually been suffering from tuberculosis for her whole life. So she had chronic tuberculosis. She'd been catching it quite regularly over a 20-year period, and in the end it killed her when she was 53. It's quite sad, isn't it? And you just have to sort of wonder how can a person actually catch tuberculosis regularly? Like, even it seems bizarre to us because how often do you catch tuberculosis?
I don't know so much about this kind of sickness. On
T-
Sunday, I visited a friend,
mm.
Thorsten Till, and they cut his head off. He had a tumor. He has a big scarf now here on his head.
Also, they've cut the
Very,
tumor out of his head.
he has cancer. The
Oh,
third time, and he gets chemotherapy. And visiting him, the last time was 5 years ago. He had a second time cancer.
oh, Okay.
and he really fights for his life, and seeing him, and it really made me, yeah, sad, and was a humbling experience. And he is a very, very, very fine young man, about in his 40s.
No, he's in his 40s and he's had cancer for the second time. It
Yes,
really it pulls you back down to reality, doesn't it?
yes,
To
completely. But this and it was awesome to visit him, and we keep in touch, and I speak to him on WhatsApp. We communicate. He's in bed, and I communicate to him, and it's great. So he's a very, very awesome guy. Very good. He works with children in a Sunday service. He used to work with children.
mm,
Very. He's got a
that's
big
a
heart
sad,
for
sad,
kids.
definitely a sad case. I mean, it's sad whenever anyone catches cancer. It just really
But
makes you does it does sort of enlighten you to how fragile life is. To
oh,
really appreciate life when you have it, and love your friends, appreciate your friends because you don't know what's just around the corner, really.
you know that song "Fragile" from Sting?
No, I'm not a big
Oh,
Sting fan.
well, me neither. But this song is very nice one. On and on, the rain will sing. The rain will fall. No, moment. Again. On and on, the rain will fall like tears from the stars. On
Mm.
and on, the rain will sing how fragile we are. Very nice song. I can only recommend to listen to it. This blowing in the wind, or vom Winde verweht. What's it called in English again?
It's in English. The film that Vivien Leigh played in is called Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. It's
Yeah,
such an awesome movie, and I googled
absolutely.
Clark Gable last night also to did
Mm.
a bit of research. And his mother died when he was just 10 months old,
Mm. So he grew up
and
motherless.
yes, his father gave him away and then married a young woman, and then they took Clark back, and
Okay.
this young woman actually nurtured him and nursed him, and she was to him like a very good mother.
Mm.
I haven't finished this documentary on YouTube yet. I was falling asleep last night,
That
and
sent you off to sleep. Oh, it was really good though.
especially with Clark Gable. I mean, come
He's
on,
he's
it's
a hottie.
not
He's a
him.
hottie. He's the man every
Oh,
man wants to be. He's
yes,
he's the man
in
every
that
woman
movie,
wants. Come on.
his his
In every
smile,
movie. What do
the
you
way he
mean?
looks,
I
the
know.
way he looks.
Isn't he just spewing charm?
Oh,
He's
wow,
like the ultimate charmer. Clark Gable. Wow.
absolutely. In that movie, it's so nice to see how he handles her.
But I think
Um,
I think he handles her properly. Like there's been a little bit of controversy, like how he sort of treats her, and then how she treats him back. But I think out of all the husbands that actually she had, I think the Clark Gable or the Rhett Butler character, I think was probably the best match to her because I think she remained very
Stubborn.
stubborn. Yeah, stubborn anyway. She was quite a stubborn woman, but I think she was quite erratic. She could be quite erratic. Her character was quite erratic, and she was a little bit selfish. And I think she needed. I think she really needed a Clark Gable character, the Rhett Butler character, to really keep her grounded. The older man to actually sort of keep her grounded in a more sort of a motherly or a family position.
That's when I saw. I mean, it's one of my favorite movies too, but because the end is so sad, I don't really fancy it that much. I like movies with a happy end.
Yeah, it does have a sad ending. Like he just sort of gets up and leaves. I think quite honestly, he probably came back, but the writer just got sick of writing the book. Have you seen the book? It's as big as a Bible. She
No, I
she
don't have
probably she
time.
probably got sick of writing. Thought, I have to end this now. So she just wrote it so that he just gets up and walks out. And frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. And then she goes back to Tara and says, "Never again, never again." And I think she just wanted to end the book. It probably didn't end there. The romance probably went on. He probably came back a few more times, but she just wanted to have that book finished. Is
When
my opinion.
yeah, well, I compared her character to Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth and what's her name? I forgot. It's a very good movie, very very well made, from an English writer from the 17th or 18th hundred.
Yeah.
You know Pride and Prejudice?
Mm-hmm.
The famous one with Colin Firth?
I know. I know the story. I haven't actually watched the movie.
Well, what I want to say is in that movie, the character, the lady, she's a well-behaved lady compared to Vivian in Gone by the Wind. She is
Oh no, I think Scarlett. I think she could definitely behave herself when she wanted to. She behaved herself at the right time. So I think she's a bit of a chameleon, and I think she would act one way, for example, in a certain group of people, but when she got home, she'd act a totally different way. So I think she was quite a savvy, quite a clever little chameleon. I think she
well,
did. She could act. She
that,
could. I think she absolutely did. You
that
saw.
is that is
Otherwise, she wouldn't have been married that many times. She certainly wouldn't have been able to get someone like Rhett Butler, who in the day was super rich. He was super charming. He was super hunky. She certainly wouldn't have been able to catch someone like that if she didn't know how to behave herself at the right times.
but yeah, but to smash a dish when she throw the
When she starts
pottery,
throwing the little figurines,
yes.
I think that
So
turned him on. Let's face it, that was a total turn on for Rhett because
uh,
she was becoming a little bit feisty. Oh, look at that feistiness.
let me
Yeah,
tell you a story. I threw a
sexy.
cup out when we lived in on Rutland Island, the far furthest North Island between Scotland and the north of Ireland. We lived in a ruin, and we had someone set a window in.
Yeah.
So yeah, the room was a bit warmer, and I had a cup. I was drinking out of the cup. It was 97, and on that cup was standing a woman without a man. It's like a fish without water.
Hmm.
Wait, moment, it was different. A woman without a man is like a fish without a bicycle. That was a feministic cup,
Ah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I see. I see.
right? So a friend from Poland gave this cup to me. Turning towards her boyfriend, I gave her a good advice, not to give her an advice, but think for herself.
Yeah.
She gave me this cup and left the island with her boyfriend, and I got stuck there with my boyfriend and other people, all hippies.
Hmm.
We only had joints and very little food to share. And this cup I threw out of this new fixed window, just trying to draw the scene before your eyes,
Hmm.
smashing a thing. So we lived in a ruin with a broken window in a very cold season. It was autumn already.
Yeah. Well,
Well, yeah. So I should have smoked a joint before I did that stupid action. But
that's what happens when you do drugs, kids. Don't do them.
yeah, exactly.
Don't
You
do
smash
them.
things you shouldn't
You
smash,
smash
and you
windows
think,
in the
oh,
middle of winter, and then you
yeah,
wonder why you're so cold. It's not a turn on. Okay, kids, it definitely is not a turn on when you start smashing figurines or smashing windows.
so
For
so
most
what
people, maybe
is it
for Rhett Butler, I don't
about
know.
fish? Is it like a is it like a fish without a bicycle?
That the saying.
Yeah,
Well, it could be is like a fish without a bicycle. It's silly. It's a silly saying, and
yeah.
I think I think if some people want to live that way, and I think if some people think if some women think they're fine without a partner, and some women don't like guys, some women like women. So, but I think there are some women who are so sure of themselves they think that they're fine on their own. Well, then so be it. Who am I to
Oh,
judge? But
yes.
I don't think I can relate. I think two heads most of the time are definitely better than one, as long as you have the right partner. So it's probably better to wait for a right partner than
And
a wrong partner.
we slide the gender part, but I still believe in the creation of man and woman. So we only slide this. I believe that God has made man and woman, and
Hmm.
not woman and woman, and not man and man. So I want to really be strict in that structure. I don't need, you know, there's enough structure and shapes and possibilities in life. I don't want to really go further than that in that case. But I
No, okay,
certainly
we'll leave that one for a different day. I mean,
thank you.
and that's your opinion, and that's fine. I'm sure you share the same opinion as many people.
Let's get back to Red Butler
Yeah.
and
So so back to Scarlett. I think she shared your opinion. I think she definitely liked to be in partnerships more than she did alone. So she is not the sort of person who would have said. A woman without a partner is like a fish without a bicycle. No, no, not for Scarlett O'Hara. I think she always was in some sort of a partnership, and I think she was married several times throughout the film. But I think that sort of shows that sort of paints her portrait of her character a little bit more. So she was obviously a really desirable woman. You know, she had no trouble getting men. You know, I think she could be very self sufficient and very independent when she needed to be. But on the other hand, I think she was incredibly desirable and she was always in some sort of relationship. And I think that painting the character of Scarlett O'Hara, that portrait that it made, sort of defined who Vivien Leigh became, the actress as well. Because I think that happens quite often in Hollywood. People see an actor in a certain role and they think, well, they're going to be exactly like that. They're going to be like that character. So everyone expects Vivien Leigh to be this really charming. Well, she was beautiful. You know, a photo can't lie. She was very beautiful, and she had good relationships with some pretty big personalities. But what you didn't see behind the scene with Vivien Leigh was that actually she had some really big issues. One of them was that she was bipolar. So she had bipolar depression, and that she had that throughout her whole life. And it's an interesting topic actually, that this person who seemed to have such a wonderful life, she had to seem to have all of her chess pieces in the right place. She seemed to be doing so well on the front. You know, she had this really crippling problem of bipolar, and actually she is coupled with tuberculosis in the last 20 years as well. And she actually had quite a few nervous breakdowns on set, which was never talked about. You certainly never saw that during the filming or during the films themselves, but she had to take quite a few breaks from filming a lot of her films because of nervous breakdowns she would have during filming. She would just, quite often, she would collapse from exhaustion, and, you know, she was struggling with bipolar at the same time as well. Quite often, she would just totally lose the plot. In the middle of filming, she wouldn't know where she was. And this is quite serious, and it's very scary if you think about it, that you can put yourself under so much stress, probably most probably physically and emotionally and mentally during the filming of this sort of stuff, that you just completely have a mental blank and you have no bloody idea where you are anymore or what you're doing. And it's real. It obviously does happen to a lot of people. It even happens to to some of these A-lister movie stars, and it's just something that doesn't get talked about a lot. So I mean, this is when kids and young adults go and follow their idols and they think they have perfect lives. No, this is actually the sort of stuff that's happening behind the scenes that you never hear about. This A-lister, she was struggling with bipolar the whole time. She was having nervous breakdowns to the point where she didn't know where she was anymore. You know, a lot of the time, and then she'd have to be off set for a few weeks or a few months, just to sort of recoup, really. And then this is real life. This is the real life of these guys that you idolize, that you think, couldn't have a better life if they tried.
I have those experience too. I tell you another time of.
Mm.
But what I wanted to say, she left us a beautiful piece of a beautiful movie. She left us a very nice, yeah, a very nice movie. That's what her
Mm.
life is remembered, and she was a very good actress. So a beautiful woman and a very good actress. She was,
Funny you should say that, because she actually spent most of her career, which wasn't really that long if you think about it, because she died when she was 53. She was very young, but she spent a great deal of her career thinking that she was only being hired for movie roles because of her looks. She had this belief the whole time of herself that she couldn't act, and I really beg to differ. I think she was the sort of person that really acted out a lot of her own character. So a lot of what you're seeing there in Gone with the Wind, a lot of what you're seeing of Scarlett is actually Vivian. I think she's one of those act your own character sort of actors, and she bloody well could. She bloody well could act, because simply because her own character was so dark. Her own character was so eccentric. She herself had had so much trouble in her life that I think she could really bring that across onto the screen. And I don't think that movie would have been anywhere near as good with any other actress. I think she was definitely the right person to make that movie as good as it could be. But
Yes.
so some of the struggles, like even that she had just in making that one movie, she was on set for 4 months. She and Clark Gable. She, do you know how much she got paid for filming for those 4 months? They had 16-hour days, so you can imagine, for 4 months, 16-hour days, 6 days a week, uh, filming, and she got paid $25,000 for that.
No way.
Wow, for an A-lister these days, you think that's just crazy. She got paid
Yeah.
25,000, so she was on set for 4 months. Clark Gable had fewer scenes. He was only on set for 2 months. Do you know how much he got paid?
No.
120,000.
Aua. Aua, aua, aua.
Yeah, so that really hurts if you think about it. And she was under so much stress during this time that she actually chain smoked 80 cigarettes a day. And that sounds just unbelievable. Like, you have to be able to sort of fathom smoking 80 cigarettes a day. I'm a smoker, but I can't. I could never fathom smoking 80 cigarettes a day, and you're trying to film at the same time. So I don't know how she did it. She's obviously a very talented woman, can smoke and act at the same time. But I think that just goes to show how much stress she actually was under, and she did this regularly because she didn't just film this one film. She had a lot of hits. She was on and off set constantly. So this is the sort of toll she was putting her body and her mental health under as well.
And this brings me to a topic we may have next time too, is the rights, women rights in genuine, you know?
In
Uh,
generally,
yeah, it's still a big issue worldwide, that women rights are, the feminists took a bit of it, but the right of a woman to be fully equally to a man is still not is still not where it should be.
mm,
All I hear about women rights a lot of times is still, as a woman, you just have some sort of second part somewhere, and I think no way.
yeah. I mean, let's talk about it. I think it's a topic that certainly does warrant discussion. I think in some cases this fight for equality might have gone a little bit overboard. I think, for example, one of the things that has actually happened through our constant fight for equality is that men are sort of losing their manliness a little bit. I think that could be an issue. I think that
Mm,
is actually a real issue. That's personally what I find. For example, it's 100 years ago, or even less than that, 70, 80 years ago, men were behaved totally differently. I think a lot of those mannerisms, for example, opening a door for a lady, I think it's one thing that's sort of going a little bit off to the side. It's not happening as often as it probably should be, because a lot of the time men just don't know how to act around women anymore. Should we treat them as equal? Should we still open the door for them? I think from a man's point of view, it's quite confusing, this fight for equality. But it's something that does certainly warrant discussion, and it'll be a good topic for next week. Okay, I do know that we have to wrap up, but what I did want to say, and it's also a little bit about this fake life. How aware of your how aware are you of your own sort of situation? I think, for you look at figures such as Vivien Leigh, and you think they've got the perfect life, they've got the perfect face. What could go wrong? But behind the scenes, you see all this really depressing, sad stuff. That was killing her. It was killing her emotionally and physically. And I think that's things like that could be happening in your own community, not on a person to person level, but I think socially. For example, we live. I live in a place called Doveton. It's not certainly not the best place in Melbourne, but I think our street is placed a little bit higher up out of Doveton. It's quite close to the next suburb, which is Endeavour Hills, which is a richer area. So our little street in Doveton is a very nice little street. It's tree lined. It's got those plum trees. It's got apple trees. It's got cherry trees. All the lawns are mowed. It's a very nice little street to live on. Very nice, family friendly, quiet little street. But if you go 3 streets down south, past the shops, you see a totally different face of Dufton. You probably see the real face of Dufton. It's this is one side. This is the very nice family friendly side that you love to be in, that you love to see. Go 3 streets down, and then you'll see the real stuff. And I went down to the south of Dufton today, this morning, to get a couple of rolls and a few things for breakfast. And I was paying at the cash register, and I overheard a conversation a mother was having, and she obviously from Dufton as well, from the south side of Dufton. She was having this conversation, a very young mum, probably about 23, 24. She's having this conversation with a 3-year-old, and she said to him, "Aren't you looking forward to this afternoon? We're going to have a real bed to sleep in, and we're going to have a heater." And I thought, ooh, and I thought, how jarred am I in my little fake life here, in my tree-lined Dovton family street here. I'm so jarred in this life that even in this sort of a family-friendly life, that 3 streets down, I'm pretty sure this goes for all of us. We're totally blind to the struggles that the rest of our Doftonites, down here are having. The people of real Dovton, really, that this mother, this very young mother with her little child, is so poor that she couldn't even afford a bed to sleep on. So I think from the rest of the conversation that I gathered, they'd just been sleeping on the floor without a heater, obviously. So the last nights have been pretty cold. So it would have been pretty awful, and especially for that little kid. So it really just makes you think, geez, you can go into places like social media and you think, oh, my life's terrible, my life's so bad, why don't I have this? But then you hear this mother and her child, and it just makes you so grateful for what you do actually have. And you turn around, and I felt bad even being in that shop. I felt bad. I was thinking, should I be buying these rolls? Goodness gracious me, I've got cereal at home. I could just go back and eat that. I don't really need to be spending this money that I have on rolls. I felt bad that I was buying rolls, quite honestly, and a newspaper when this woman didn't even have a bed for her child. And and that actually turned my thought pattern around a little bit, thinking, geez, I've got it so lucky, and actually we have it so good. I think we have, in general terms, in Western culture terms, I think my family and I have a pretty simple life here. We're not too extravagant with anything that we have, but it made me so grateful, and made me so happy that we do actually have as much as we do have, compared to this bedless mother, and who doesn't even have a heater. And I mean, are we, perhaps it's our viewpoint? Should we, if I would have felt grateful for what I have probably a lot sooner if I had have gotten my face out of social media and actually looked around 3 streets down and seen the real Dovton. Not on our high little clothes here next to Endeavour Hills. So it's it's eye opening, and it's humbling, and to see real people, and get involved with real people's struggles. I mean, I think it's so easy to take our lives for granted sometimes, and just to not be happy with what we have. I mean, do you feel the same way sometimes?
Well, it brings me right to interaction. I have 5 kids who I support financially
Hmm.
um, in Somalia, in India, in Philippines, 3 in Africa, yes, 1 in India and 1 in Philippines. So one boy in Uganda. Anyway, that's like if I would have seen her and listened to this, I would immediately take action towards her, because my emotions would go before my head.
Mm.
That's
But the thing is,
prob-
what do you do? What do you do in this sort of situation? Like, yes, you're buying stuff for yourself. You're probably buying a bit of stuff that you didn't even really need. You just felt like buying it, yeah. Like, do you really need that brie cheese for breakfast this morning? No, not really, but you felt like it, right? And this woman doesn't even have a bed for a child. And yeah, but what are you going to do? You can't turn
I,
around and say, "Can I help you?" Because then they could get offended. Firstly, why are you listening to my conversation? I wasn't talking to you. And secondly, you're assuming stuff. That there might be a reason she didn't have a bed. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, who
yeah,
knows? Who knows? Maybe the I don't
yeah,
know.
exactly. That's just the thing why it's better to to step back a little. That's my learning lesson anyhow.
Hmm.
But this is when I listen to this, it's touching me so deeply that I think, oh my God, please help this poor lady with her boy and
Well,
give
that's
her
right. I was sort of just standing there thinking, oh, this is awful. Oh, the
yeah.
poor lady, the poor child. It's only a little child. Like this is pretty bad. But you really, what can you do? You're very limited in this sort of situation as to what you can actually do. I think. I didn't know the woman. Don't even know her name, right?
You know what happened? What happened? Like my roof is leaking, and we had it raining through very badly here. When it rains, I have to put up the buckets under the dripping water from the roof and put up bowls. And I didn't realize when it was raining because I was like, okay, it's raining. I'm down anyway, so keep the spirit up.
Hmm. Hmm.
And my grandson was just going into the kitchen, got some buckets, and put it under the dripping roof
Hmm.
because he stepped in with his socks and he was like taking actions, and then it was okay, and we went on with our daily whatever. And I ignored the bloody rain, and I thought, okay, it's a leaking roof, but I still have a roof above my head. The stove, there's a fire burning in the stove, thanks to a very good friend who chopped wood for us.
Hmm.
And he's a friend who knows that I suffer from mm, I don't want to say that I'm sick, but I suffer from a lot of things through my past life. I have experienced more than a lot of people probably experience, or some people, not a lot of people
Well, I
experience.
don't know because this goes back to the thing like what we show people is one side of us, and I think what's going on behind closed doors only every person really knows for themselves. Because I think even for the most openest of people, they will not tell you everything. I think
Yeah,
that's
but
just the way it is. And I
it's
think
good.
every person has their own struggles. I think also equally some people are more capable of fighting through their challenges or fighting through their struggles than other people. And what might seem like quite ludicrous when a very rich kid whinges about their credit card being declined, I would be in that position. I'd think, I'll get a life, right? But actually, for them on their level, it's a real struggle. No, no, it's
Yeah,
like it sounds funny, it sounds ridiculous, but for them it's a real struggle. And I think like, each person and each persona has a different level of struggles they can deal with. Some people are very good at fighting through their struggles, a lot of struggles, different type of struggles, and if someone else had their struggles, they wouldn't do as so well. So it's really, we all have our challenges, we all have our struggles that we fight through. As do you, as do I, as does every person. I think saying that you have more struggles than other people probably isn't true. A lot of people aren't very insightful about the kind of struggles they have. Some people just sort of keep their chin up and keeps keep going on with their lives quite unaware, of any real struggle. Some people are quite like that. Other people are very aware of the struggles they have and will tell you of it at every opportunity. So, you know,
that was like my personal finishing line for today. Your walk with your kiddies, the sponsoring walk for Australian soldiers and kids in
mm,
need has encouraged me for this week to run my race here. So that's
fantastic. Well, that's good to hear.
yeah, that was I I wrote to my friend who was offended by me asking him for a donation.
Mm,
I'm so proud to call you my friend. That makes me very humble and proud that I can call you my friend. It's like, wow, this young lady with her two kids is my friend, and that's what I'm very happy about, you
and
know?
and here I was thinking, how lucky am I to have a friend like Bianca? She actually
Yeah.
listens to me. So I thought that was great, because no, I think real friends are hard to come by, and you got to be so happy for the ones, really good friends that you have, and you're certainly one of them. So
But that's the way it's the way we share our lives also, the way we care for each other and share and take part, take part in what are my friends doing, where are they right now, are they okay, are they well looked after, basically,
hmm,
that's reminds me on a movie War Room. We talk about another time. That's,
So
that's,
we've gone a little bit over time for you
well,
guys
that's
because
women. That's women. You know, a man a word, a woman a book. So
no, I thought we did that especially because we didn't do anything last week. So we're just trying to catch up a little bit because there was nothing
yeah,
last week.
right.
So giving you a little bit more this week, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed our topics. But as always, comment, message us, let us know if there is something you'd like us to talk about. We'd really love to hear from you. You know, and we like to talk about the things that you think are important, that are important to you. You know, we'll dig through them, discuss them a little bit, and we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up if you liked us. Please give us a thumbs up, give us a like, share our stuff. You know, if you have friends that like listening to podcasts as well. And yeah, we hope to see you again next week for some more rabbiting on. We'll rabbit on in your ears in English or German. We're not sure yet.
Keep
We'll
your
see.
head up,
We'll see how
everybody.
well this one goes. If you get
Yeah,
more
keep your head up,
response to English or German.
everybody.
Yeah, keep. So the final thought for today is times at times life will be terribly tough, but know that you never know how close you are to the finish. I did in my case. I knew I had 5 laps and 5 laps will be over. But sometimes sometimes you don't always know how close you are to finish, and you could be that far away just before you give up. So never give up. Keep going. You know, your life is worth it for yourself, your friends, your family. You know, for those people that love you. Just keep that chin up. Keep battling on. You know, easier times are coming, and tomorrow's always a fresh day. So keep that in mind as you start this coming work week on the Monday. You are fantastic. You do have the power. You know, and you certainly you can get through those challenges, even though sometimes you think you can't. You bloody well can. You can. Keep going and reach out. Reach out if you want someone to talk to. You know, you can talk to us, but probably better to talk to a friend. Or if you don't be afraid of reaching out to people. You know, talking to them first if you want someone to talk to. That's always a good idea. You know, sometimes I don't think we reach out to friends enough because we don't want to look like the stupid one. Like we reach out to them first. We always wait for people to reach out to us. Why? Reach out to them if you want to talk. Talk to someone. Like I'm talking to Bianca.
Or Ingrid, better one.
That's my final rabbit for this week, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. If you can, help our Girl Guides mission. You know, we've got another 2 weeks here. I'm going to post the link down below in the comments. Give the soldiers a helping hand. Help those kids that need your support for Christmas. Make the Christmases special. And we'll speak to you soon.
Bye bye.
Alright, bye.
Wer hat an der Uhr gedreht? Ist es wirklich schon so spät?